Hello, my name is Brother Brian Vicaro. I'm a seminarian with the Redemptorists here at St. Gerard's Parish in San Antonio, Texas. Today is Wednesday from the 29th week of Ordinary Time. A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Luke. Jesus said to his disciples, "Be sure of this. If the master of the house had known the hour when the thief was coming, he would not have let his house be broken into. You also must be prepared, for at an hour you do not expect, the Son of Man will come." Then Peter said, "Lord, is this parable meant for us or for everyone?" And the Lord replied, "Who then is the faithful and prudent steward, whom the master will put in charge of his servants to distribute the food allowance at the proper time? Blessed is that servant whom his master on arrival finds doing so. Truly I say to you, he will put him in charge of all his property. But if that servant says to himself, 'My master is delayed in coming,' and begins to beat the men servants and the maid servants, and to eat and drink and get drunk, then that servant's master will come on an unexpected day at an unknown hour and will punish the servant severely and assign him to a place with the unfaithful. The servant who knew his master's will but did not make preparations nor act in accord with his will shall be beaten severely. And the servant who was ignorant of his master's will, but acted in a way deserving of a severe beating, shall be beaten only lightly. Much will be required of the person entrusted with much, and still more will be demanded of the person entrusted with more." The Gospel of the Lord. Stewardship can be understood as fulfilling one's responsibilities, doing the job that one has been assigned to do. And we see this theme both in our first reading in Paul's letter to the Ephesians and in our gospel today that I just read. In the first reading from our liturgy, we hear Paul recognizing that he is a faithful steward. He has been given a task by God to bring the gospel message to people, the people of the Gentile communities to whom he ministered. Whether in person or through his correspondence, he reached out to them and he brought them the good news of Jesus. In our gospel, we get a completely different idea of stewardship. We get the idea and the example of an unfaithful steward. A steward who, when he has been tasked by his master to take care of the household while the master is away, fails in his responsibilities. Instead of doing what he is supposed to do, the unfaithful servant eats, drinks, gets drunk, abuses his fellow servants, fails in everything that he is supposed to do, and when the master returns, the servant is severely punished. Stewardship is a responsibility for all of us. As Christians, we are called both in word and in deed to spread the good news of Jesus. And each of us has unique experiences and unique circumstances in our lives that make this stewardship of ours different from all other people. Some of us are in family life, and we have responsibilities for our children, for aging parents, for sick relatives, and we must take care of the responsibilities that we face in our families. Others are called to work in the workplace, and they have responsibilities to do their job in order to make their company successful and to make money in the form of a salary so that they can go home and provide for their family. Still others feel the call to to volunteer their time for a church activity or at a ministry such as a food pantry or a soup kitchen, where they can donate their efforts and their abilities to help those in need. Others have financial resources, and they feel called to use them to help those that are in need of assistance. And still others have a ministry of presence. Those that are a listening ear, a comforting presence to those that they encounter who are struggling, who are suffering, who are going through a difficult time. They are there and they walk with these individuals through their difficulties. All of us have different circumstances, and we fulfill our stewardship call in different ways. But fulfilling our stewardship call faithfully is not a one-time decision. It's not something that we just wake up one day and we say, today and going forward, I will always be a faithful steward. No, instead it is a decision that we must make every day and every moment of every day. I will be a faithful steward. And when we fail, and there are times when we will, we can be rest assured that we have a loving God who we can go to in prayer and in the sacraments and say, God, I am sorry, I messed up. I didn't do what I was supposed to do, and we can be sure that God will forgive us. In our first reading, Paul comes and presents to us an example of faithful stewardship. And our gospel presents us an example of an unfaithful steward. As we go through our life, we should hold the example of Paul and his faithful stewardship in the forefront of our minds as an example of what we should strive to do, so that when we reach the end of our days, we will hear those loving words of Jesus, my good and faithful servant, come, share your master's joy.